Obviously, the last couple of weeks have been disappointing, but I definitely don't think there's an issue there. We understand where we need to get to. It's going to be a big focus of ours this last month. We know we need to fix that up. Went down there to Melbourne, missed our mark in a big game. We're not too concerned, but we know there's a lot of work we need to do before we get into a position to be able to compete.
Yeah, some big names leaving and some cash to spend for the Roosters. We had a bit of fun in the office today. We got the calculator out, the abacus, you name it, we had it out. And it's the Bank of Bondi that we just went through. A bit of an audit. Swaliti. These are all estimations, mind you. So, but I think we're pretty close with most of these. Swaliti on $750 a year, he leaves. Kiri leaves on $700 a year. JWH leaves around $550. Manu, we've got around $750, leaving $2.95 million for the Roosters, the war chest, to spend next year. They have some dollars to burn, the Chooks. They don't need a sombrero anymore.
I think most clubs would be terrified when the Roosters have money to spend and to burn, and they do. I think we have to factor in, though, the fact that this bloke will probably come back, Joey Manu.
Yeah, he will.
Perhaps in May.
Yeah.
So some of that money...
500 or 600 gone?
That would go.
Depending if, it's half a season.
Correct.
Yep.
They're upgrading a lot of young kids as well. The one bloke I think they might have a look at, it's a centre, is Kotoni Staggs. They have shown interest in him before. I've got no hard proof on that.
Yep.
But I think you'll find that there would be some interest there in Kotoni Staggs, who is a New South Welshman, I might add.
It's an interesting time for the Roosters, isn't it? Because you talk about premiership windows, and with those four big names finishing up at the end of the season, with the exception of Manu will most likely be back next year, are they going to be a better team next year if they don't get someone like Staggs straight up and they've got a bunch of really good kids coming through? But it's like the next 8 weeks is their time to shine. And then after that...
Are you saying the window is closing?
Well, I'm saying the window will close unless they pick up a big buy. Like in the past...
That's a lot of talent to lose out of one footy side. Like if you look at that just on sheer talent, that's... You know, you got you got multiple grand final winners there. So that's for one.
And
that's a
names
lot
that
of
they're
experience.
talking about replacing, and I get the Roosters' argument here is that they do have an exceptional crop coming through. Like Sandon Smith will take over from Cleary. They've brought Townsend as a backup, but then they've got that young Toby Rodwell and Jake Elliott, who are the halves coming through. They've got Blake Steep as another lock, that Robert Toya, who's coming back from...
But they aren't... You wouldn't think they're premiership players, right?
Exactly, which is the point next year. Will they be a better team? And we've known in the past the Roosters don't start the season thinking they can't win a premiership.
Will be filthy on 550 when he knows Stefano's getting off at 800.
Yeah, well, this is from our... he's not definitely on 550. It's an estimation, so we're pretty close. But, yeah, I mean...
Like, what a play.
They're going to miss him. They're going to miss him.
Jared's got like an Andrew Johns style that when he doesn't play, the Roosters, seem to struggle a little bit. He's massive. Like, that's an imprint in your dress.
But there comes a time, don't they, where you have to roll it over with Lindsay Collins and Spencer and Ferrell May, and then they've got, young Siwa Wong and guys like that coming through.
Yeah, no, they've got enough talent.
You have to upgrade the kids to keep them.
Yeah, it's true. It's very unusual well, as far as I can remember, the Roosters having so much money to spend. Like normally they're pretty locked in with their roster, and they've got significant recruits that they've already purchased before going into the next season.
But maybe they have the faith in the kids coming through because they have to upgrade them, and so there won't be that much money.
They'll still want a half. Yeah. They'll still want whether like.
Do you reckon that's the key one? That's what I'm talking about.
They keep the money there for a half.
You're losing a leader in the forward pack. You're losing one of the world's best centres. A young talent on the wing, and a half.
They need a good centre and a half.
So there's
Tedesco's off end of next year as well. So there's a bit more money that's looming.
And who knows if Sawali will come back?
Oh,
Shorter. Well,
is this a prediction?
Well, there's a bit of talk that maybe it won't if it doesn't work out in rugby union. Well, he said he will come back to the Roosters at one point.
All right, Crawls, the beef of the week. You're agreeing with Shane Richardson. Was it today? He's come out and said that he wants to see.
Not often that happens.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm interested to hear why you are agreeing.
I just thought on the Stefano going to Melbourne business. I think the Tigers have a genuine concern, and their fans would have a genuine concern. And there is scepticism out there when a player leaves one of the bottom clubs and goes to a top club and takes less money. And I get that Stefano would want to be coached by Craig Bellamy, and he'd want to be in that system. But I think from a fan's perspective, and I've said this for years, I'd love to see the day where we have a transparency in the salary cap. Like, we work to a salary cap, and most industries in the public, like the ambulance officers, the nurses, the teachers, all the public officials, we know what their salaries are. It's not a problem over in America with the NFL and the NBA. I just think it would clean up a lot of scepticism about the salary cap if we could publish the wages and we knew full well it's not just a knock on the big clubs either. It's actually showing the battling clubs how you can do it better.
Is the issue with Shane that he wants to see the evidence of how much?
I think that's what he said.
But isn't that, don't the NRL? The NRL asked for that.
The NRL know it.
Yeah. So but Shane can find out.
What is it going to prove?
Well, I don't know if he can find out, Braith, because I know the circumstances last year with when Canberra basically put in the same request when Jack moved to South. They were told, mind your own business.
Well,
they didn't get told.
I agree.
They didn't get told.
I agree that
what
the
he was getting.
NRL should have to tell the club that he leaves. They should have to expose or identify what money he's on, exactly where it's coming from. I do believe that's okay. I don't think all the fans need to know.
Well, I think the fans buy into the game. I truly do. I think the fans buy in, and the fans from the Tigers haven't had a lot to celebrate of late. And I don't think if it happens in major sports around the world, I just can't see why it shouldn't happen.
But they're on $30 and $40 million. Like, it's.
But sometimes
I think
comparative. You've got 350 million people in America. These guys are pretty well paid.
I think it can be embarrassing for some guys. You know, on 180
there
or
can
200,
be jealousy, mate. There can be
900.
jealousy in the dressing room, because don't forget in Super League, every single
I get
salary
that too.
was,
and it's a sport.
was
It's a
published.
sport that works to a salary cap.
And do you think
And
it's
if you
helped,
don't have faith in the salary cap, you don't have faith in the system.
Do you think it helped Luke Brooks every week when we spoke about how much money he's on, not how we play?
We still speak about the money though, mate. We like the Daily Telegraph puts out an NRL Rich 100 every year. Everyone speculates about what a contract's worth. What's the difference about actually knowing what it's worth?
I don't know what you're on. I don't know what you're on. I don't ask my mates.
We're not working to a
salary cap. I don't ask my mates what they're on.
But we're not working to a salary cap.
This is the rules, as long as the clubs know. As long as the clubs know and it's to the rules.
But Richo's saying they don't know.
But I'm saying they should. I agree with you on that. I totally do. I just don't think everyone needs to know everyone's
I don't think anyone has a right to know anyone's wage.
But do you think it'd help out the fans that are at the struggling clubs to go, we can't compete, but we're on the same amount. We pay our players the same amount.
Once he leaves the club, then it's none of that club's business. He has made a decision to go. I don't see why the club that he's left has any right to demand to know what he was paid. Once he's off your books, he's off your books. I don't ask what you're on. I don't ask what you're on. I don't think anyone's got that right in life.
I agree.
There are certain things in life that are private, and your wage is one of them.
I guess hypothetically too. And look, we don't know what the circumstances are with Stefano's contract in Melbourne either. But it would also come down, like salary cap it's a year by year thing, isn't it? And you can save a little bit of money and pay it off this year. But if he goes to Melbourne for way unders next year, and they manage to keep Nelson and they keep Christian Welfs and they keep everyone together, are they playing that season over the salary cap?
But that's up to the NRL.
I know it is up to the NRL, but I'm saying from a fan perspective, mate, a little bit of transparency wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, it would take the innuendo out, but I just think that the NRL should be transparent to the people that need to know, not the fans don't need to know that in my opinion.
Braith, you're an agent. Do they still put a price on players? They do, don't they? Like if you play Origin, you can't go sign at a club for 200 and say that you want to take massive money.
There's a market value.
Market value.
But again, I think fans would be surprised with some players going to other clubs for less. Like they do it. I mean, I know most of the guys I look after are at their clubs because they love the place and they could get more elsewhere, but they love where they are. You know, like it does happen. I know people struggle with it, right? But at the end of the day, you look at the West Tigers, it's an absolute basket case. And if I'm looking after a player at the moment, the one that was thinking about going there, you hesitate and then you're going somewhere else for less. That's the reality of it. It sucks. But you know what it comes down to? It comes down to leadership and it comes down to looking after your club and doing the right thing by the club and setting the culture and performance and everything so that this doesn't happen. You know, like we can look at prices and money and values and all that, but at the end of the day, these guys have been going around in circles for ages and Richo's got the shits, but really they've got no one else to blame but themselves.
I actually think it would give a bit of clarity, though, to And again, there it wouldn't be a bash up on the big clubs. It would show what good
Yeah, that's
business
a fair
is.
point. It's a fair
Has
point.
anyone asked the players?
And
whether
you might
they
see
like
what
their-
other players are on, and
yep.
they might say, well, they're paying them too much, and you can see where their salary cap
that's
is
a good
being
point.
bent out of shape.
Would the players like their
No,
wages
no.
exposed
No,
publicly?
because the players'
And
unions
I don't
want
blame
it,
them.
but they don't run the game.
But
the
they're
NRL
entitled
runs
to
the game. They
privacy.
do what's in the game's best interest. That's what they should do.
How much further do we delve into their lives then? What's next? We're starting to now find out what they're being paid publicly. I don't think anyone has that right except the player and possibly the agent.